The time difference between China and the West is killing your speed to market. You ask a supplier a question, go to sleep, and sometimes lose an entire day waiting for one answer. Multiply that across 10 questions and across 10 suppliers, and you can lose months and tens or even hundreds of your hours that you should be spending growing your business. My name is Lydon Smithers. I've spent the last 10 years sourcing products in China, working with hundreds of factories, building my own and helping other founders build e-commerce businesses responsible for hundreds of millions a year in online sales. Today, I'm going to show you how I use Accio Work as my sourcing night shift, finding suppliers, managing the repetitive back and forth, and gathering the information I need to reach the sampling stage in days instead of months. If you're a busy founder, your time is your most expensive asset. You should be making decisions, not playing inbox ping pong. Accio changes the equation. You give it the product brief, you give it the exact commercial questions you need answered, then you go to sleep. While you're offline, the agent speaks to 5, 10, 20 suppliers simultaneously. It handles the language barrier and extracts the data we need to be able to make decisions. When you wake up, you have a clean dashboard showing exactly who has the right MOQ, who has the right certificates, and who is open to your terms. You have bypassed a 12-hour time delay entirely. But there is a right way and a wrong way to use it. The wrong way is to use it to go out and try and aggressively negotiate down the pricing, the MOQs, and the payment terms immediately without building any sort of relationship. If we go in too hard and start negotiating before we've found out all the information, we're going to put off the supplier. They're simply going to stop responding to you. You cannot just hammer down and bully suppliers into giving you a price. I truly believe that negotiation is built on relationships, particularly in China. This is why I spend months of the year on the ground in China, building relationships, understanding the production line, and creating win-win deals with my manufacturing partners. So the right way to use Accio at this stage is to gather information. We need to leverage AI to do the gathering for us, but we really need to prompt it to represent us as we want it to and tactfully handle the conversation. We use it to find out MOQs, pricing, flexibility in their custom production. Once we have that information, we can decide which suppliers deserve sample orders and which conversations we want to take to the next level and handle ourselves. That is how you use AI to get speed to market whilst building a rapport. So I treat the first round as information-led negotiation. We gather the baseline and discover the constraint. Then in the second round, once we have that information, we can send the AI agent back out to take the conversation to the next level with the suppliers we like the best. AI plus HI, artificial plus human, is where the real power is. Let me show you exactly what that looks like. So as you can see, I'm in Accio Work, which is the desktop app. I've got a task here. You can click new task. You can come into plugins if you like, and you can click the chat to start a task, or in a new task, you just come to the drop down here. Make sure you turn on Accio Sourcing Toolkit and Global Seller Agent, which was the Alibaba link. So in here, all you need to do is type out the projects that you'd like to work on. So if I want to type, I'm looking to source a hard travel case for a Mac Mini to protect the Mini, keyboard, trackpad, and cables whilst traveling. I would also like a compartment for an AirTag, so we can keep an eye on it. Please find me suppliers to compare. So here's what the results look like. Hard shell travel case with Mac Mini with compartments of cables, mouse, keyboard, etc. There's a no AirTag specific match yet. It's a good sign that they're not already doing that, and potentially it's something that we can develop and add and stand out. So what you want to do is take a look through here. This one looks in, it's 680, so it's a little bit more expensive than some of them, but I'd select that one because I quite like the look of it. Let's have a look down here. This one's cheaper than this one, despite using a very similar image. So I'll be interested to see what the difference in those two are. And what we've got to do, we can select up to 5 here. This black one here looks good. Again, pricing looks pretty good on that one. Slightly different design here. And let's go with this one. Different design altogether. So please compare these suppliers, and go. Now, after every request, you get some prompts here, so you can very quickly click send inquiries to top 3 suppliers, compare the top 3 products for the snug, lightweight fit, or verify suppliers' number 1 credentials and capacity. But what I've done is go ahead and just select the 5 that I'm interested in and ask for the comparison. But the good thing about Accio Work is that all along it's going to be prompting you and recommending actions for you. So here's the results. I've compared all 5 Mac Mini travel case suppliers against your key priorities: protection compartments, eyewear, AirTag, slot, snug fit. So top pick, storage case compatible with Mac Mini. Let's click on that one. Take a look at that one. The top pick, of course, it's the most expensive one, but it's good to know that that one is top of the list. Let's come back to the desktop app. Alternative, most durable and verified, waterproof. Waterproof is a good feature, obviously, and then alternative. So that's the top 5 here: mouse compartment, keyboard compartment, cable, case AO. Now, some of this information, it might well have these things, and you can see from the images it does, but it's just not pulling the information, or the supplier hasn't put that information on the listing for us. So none of the 5 listings particularly explicitly mention AirTag slot, which we saw before, and I'm okay with that. Once again, we've got our prompts here and our recommendations. Order directly. I don't want to do that at this stage, because like I explained before, I really want to get in, find out some information, and make that manual human decision on which ones I want to go after. Clarify requirements. So professional questions to help define exactly that. So what I've done here is, this is great. Can you find an additional 10 suppliers for me and add them to the comparison table? I'm not worried about MOQ because this is for mass production. For e-commerce, pricing under 5 would be great, but don't be deterred. Now, the reason I say that is because these MOQs are very low here. And if I'm going to be launching a product into one of my brands, I'm not worried if the MOQ is a little bit higher than that. It might open it up a little bit if MOQ was restricting it. So then I found and added 10 more suppliers, now 15 total, re-ranked with MOQ, removed the constraint, and a price under $5. So here we go. We've got all of these suppliers. There's a slightly different one, obviously, but clearly they can make the case. If they're making this one, they can make the case what we're looking for. So the waterproof case, so the gold, silver, and bronze have moved around a little bit now that we've got the additional suppliers. Again, prompts here, but what I've gone ahead and done is given my own prompt, and the reason I do this is because I wanted to find out key questions. And there's a reason behind this, and it's to try and keep the suppliers responding to us. I don't want them getting bored or getting turned off by some of the questions that we ask. So I didn't want to let the AI go and just do its own thing without giving it some sort of indication. So I've given my top 8 questions. Perhaps this is overkill right now, and we might want to break that down and tell the AI, only ask 3 questions until you get the answer on those ones, and we can move on to the next set. So you can break it down that way. For the purpose of this demonstration, I've gone ahead and put some of these questions. So where is the factory? Could I visit in October when I come for Canton Fair? The reason I put this question in there is because it shows that I'm a serious buyer. And if I'm traveling to China, then they'll believe that I'm somebody worth working with. What I'm trying to do at this point is get a response whilst also gathering the intel that I need to make decisions. So do you have any test certificates or third-party audits for the product or factory? What is the price for 1,000 units, 10,000 units, and 25,000 units? Once again, I'm painting the picture of being a bigger client. I'm not going in with what's your lowest MOQ and what's your lowest price. I'm talking about the future and this being a decent order. I want to engage the salesperson or rep on the other side to believing that I'm worth putting the time into the conversation with. What is the MOQ on the test order? That does open up our ability to be able to test the product and let them know that we do want a smaller one. Do you supply this product to the USA market? The reason I ask that is because I want to sell in the USA. And if they do, then they already know about certificates that are potentially needed and clearing customs. And it just shows that they've got the experience in that particular market. And then are you able to make modifications to the product at my request? Of course, they would be on a product like this. It's not too difficult. Just want to make sure that they're open to it and they're not just trying to sell off-the-shelf products to us, because we want to add that AirTag housing as well as potentially some other stuff. How many workers do you have? How many workers does the factory have? I always like to ask this question. I want to understand whether they're a small factory or a large factory, because a large factory would probably have the cash flow to potentially help me with my payment terms, and a small factory may not have that cash flow for the payment terms, but they might be able to have a cheaper price because they don't have the overhead. It's just good to understand. There's no right or wrong answer, but good to understand who I'm dealing with. And then what are your payments, standard payment terms? 9 times out of 10, they'll come back with 30% and then 70%. But by asking this question, I'm sending a signal that later down the line, I might want to discuss that. Then at the end here, what I've done is keep in conversation with them until you have all the answers. Open up with explaining that we're experienced sellers and have success in selling on Amazon and TikTok and looking to launch a new brand. We believe this product can turn 25 to 50K units per year as long as we can find the right manufacturing partner. Once again, I'm framing it so that I'm somebody worth responding to. What I don't want to go out is having these standard questions and, again, bullying the suppliers into a lower price at this point, because it's going to turn them off and stop them responding to us or giving straight answers. So then after clicking go, your inquiry has been sent and AI auto chat is enabled. This is what's going to manage this and be our overnight night shift agent that's going to go out and have all the conversations with our suppliers for us. What I'll focus on negotiating next, again, all 8 questions answered from each supplier, factory location, Canton Fair, all of the stuff we wanted. Until these are settled, I'll handle routine follow-up questions from sellers directly. No need for you to step in. When you'll hear from me, once suppliers start reporting substantive answers, quotes, certifications, factory details, or if something needs your call, I'll come to you. So no news in between, it just means negotiation is progressing normally. So in the matter of 5 minutes, we've managed to get that up and running, and we can go to bed and let the auto contact part of this plugin handle things for us. All right, so coming back after a good night's sleep and not sitting up all night messaging with Chinese suppliers, I can get an inquiry progress update. And Accio is telling me I've synced the latest replies from all 10 manufacturers. We're making good progress with several suppliers already providing tiered pricing under your $5 target. And the status of each of these is negotiate, and then there's 3 that need info. So this is where we have to step in. And what we can do here is almost all top tier suppliers need exact dimensions or a design layout to finalize their quotes. They need to know the Mac Mini model, accessory models, and AirTag placement. So then what I've gone and done is go ahead and asked it to, can you do some research on Amazon, see the best sellers and see what dimensions they have. They've then come back and looked at the top Amazon listings, taken a look at the weight and the sizes, and then use that information to go ahead and reach back out to suppliers and answer the missing questions. Of course, at this point, I've got to answer where we'd like the AirTag and some of the other questions. But as you can see here, it doesn't go into me spending time with a tape measure at my desk trying to figure things out. Go and see what similar products are out there, figure out the dimensions and go back. So once again, saving time, not sitting and trying to figure out the dimensions ourselves. At this stage, later down the line, we want to create a spec sheet and make sure we're happy with dimensions and that things sit snugly in there. But at this stage for pricing, research the internet for me, come back and go back to the suppliers. So after that next round of questions and going back to the suppliers and continuing to have conversations, we've got a state of play, Mac Mini case sourcing. So 10 out of 10 suppliers engaged, 5 full tiered quotes ready to go, lowest unit target, $3.89. And what we've got here is a list of the suppliers, how much for 1,000 units and how much for 25,000 units. This one is an outlier, it looks expensive. So I'll be interested to see what the difference is here. And we can dive into that. But we've got the best mass price, expensive sample cost, all questions answered, and some outliers there. It's then giving me recommendations on which ones they think's the best, and then some more blockers. So we need a US zip code to get the shipping cost, and then the logo colors. So how many colors are in your logo? So we know obviously how much that's going to cost. The more colors, the more it's going to cost. And then material consistency. Confirm if we want them to match the Amazon reference product. So here I am sat here. I can go ahead and answer these questions and send the agent back out to continue the conversation. So then if you do want to jump over to your Alibaba account, you can see the conversations in action. And we can see what the inquiry looks like on the particular product, and then how they've worded it, which questions they'd like. And what happens is they make their answers, they answer the questions, and then obviously your agent is going back and forth until they gather all the information they need. Now imagine how much time this would take, because as we know, sometimes you ask 8 questions like I've got here and you get 1 back. So the agent itself will continue to answer those questions and have an open conversation until they have everything they need and you're able to make the decisions. Just in these 10, 15 suppliers here and all these conversations here, we've saved hours and hours of our own time by allowing the agent to gather all this information. And it's absolutely game changing. So there you have it. After a couple more rounds of back and forth with the AI answering those final blockers, I'm going to be at a stage where I can place sample orders. By prompting Accio in the right way, setting the scene, establishing our credibility, and asking the right questions, we ensured we got real answers rather than just hammering a load of demands, trying to force down price and MOQ. Now we have all the information. We've just saved weeks of timeline, if not months. And we've also saved tens, if not hundreds of hours of CEO time that I've been able to focus elsewhere in the business. Accio can still help me with those samples, tracking logistics, but this is the point where I start shifting the conversation. Now that I'm at the sampling stage, I take over communication directly in the most part. I order the samples so I can see them in real life. I start building the human relationship with the factory reps through video calls. The video calls are so that I can explain what I'm seeing with the product and get my point across in a short video rather than going back and forth by email, saving even more time. So this is where I take over, because there's no AI in the world that's going to replace human interaction. And this is never truer than in China, where face-to-face value is everything. AI can collect facts, compare options, follow up, and prepare me extremely well. But true negotiation still requires Guanxi, the Chinese word for relationship. If I want 90 or 180-day payment terms, I'm asking the factory owner to trust me with their capital. If I want reserve capacity, prioritize production, or help through a quality crisis, Guanxi is the extra element that makes it happen. You build it up by showing up. You sit with the owner, you drink tea, you break bread. Accio makes that meeting so much smoother because I've arrived prepared. I know what each supplier said. I know where the MOQ comes from. I know the volume economics, and I know which samples passed. Accio can carry a huge amount of the groundwork. Guanxi and face-to-face interaction are where I take the real negotiation further. That's why I want you to come to China with me. Between now and then, use Accio. Use it to define the market, find the options, contact suppliers, collect the facts, and get your samples moving. Let the agent handle the repetitive back and forth while you run the business. Then bring the strongest opportunities to China. With China Magic, we will take you to the Canton Fair. We will help you meet suppliers face to face, and we will prepare you for visiting those factories you found with Accio. For 13 Canton Fairs, my team and I have been coaching attendees on exactly how to prepare forecasts and pitch decks to unlock win-win deals that provide quality assurance, lower MOQs, preferential pricing, and extended payment terms. So stop being the bottleneck in your supply chain and missing out on those opportunities you've unearthed. Give Accio the right questions and let it gather the information in the background. Use the results to decide on suppliers and use your own judgment to approve the physical product. Then use Guanxi and face-to-face interaction for the true negotiation and building that long-term partnership. I've secured a special offer to Accio so you can get moving straight away. Click the link in the description below to get started. And if you are serious about building the relationships behind a scalable supply chain, come to China with me October. Head to ChinaMagicTrip.com for more information, or reach out to me via LydenSmithers.com or any of the social channels. I'll see you in China.